Dr. Campbell, and I'm here today to talk about my beautiful daughter Maggie. She died in May of 2009, and she was a victim of suicide. And I'm just here today to tell you a little bit about my daughter and a little bit about her story. She was 14 years old, 14 and a half, and she was so beautiful and so funny and so special. She had lots of friends and she was a good student. But on May 13th, 2009, she decided to take her life. And since that happened, I've learned so much about suicide that I had no idea about. I feel like my daughter was a victim of bullying based on what she wrote in her suicide note. I think a lot of outside influences affected Maggie negatively, and it maybe altogether, was just tragic. And she was so young and immature at that age that she really couldn't work through everything in her life, and she apparently saw no hope, and she took her own life. What I'm here to say today is that out of every tragedy in life, no matter if it's suicide or a car wreck or any tragedy at all, you just have to learn from it and try to make a difference in other people's lives by changing maybe how you live your life and how you affect other people's lives. Maggie struggled a little bit, well actually not a little bit, Maggie struggled a lot with low self-esteem. I know that because I was her mom, and she complained that her boobs were too big and she was too tall and she was too awkward and she didn't like her hair and she had acne, all the normal things that a 14-year-old would have, but they really bothered her a lot. She never wanted to draw any attention to herself, but on the outside she was really, happy-go-lucky and kind of in your face and crazy and funny, but on the inside she was really, really, really insecure, and she doubted a lot about herself. And at school, I know that there were some kids who called her gay because she was a tomboy. She didn't like makeup. She didn't wear earrings, or jewelry, and she wore very little makeup, and she wore jeans, and there were rumors about her sexuality. And quite frankly, I don't know if she was gay or not. At 14, I don't think you know if you're gay or not. Who cares? It's that weird time in your life where all your hormones are raging and you get confused. I want to make a difference in other people's lives and kids' lives by saying, don't call each other names. Who cares if you think that kid sitting beside you is gay? Who cares if they're overweight? Who cares if they don't have the perfect straight teeth that you have? Who cares if they talk funny? Who cares? Just love each other and accept each other. My pastor, Brother John Muzo, once taught me, he said, what is a feather to one child may be a brick to another. And you don't ever know. The person you're making fun of, those could be bricks to that person because they're just not strong enough to work through it. They're not strong enough, to conquer that and to move on. And I think Maggie was one of those people. I almost think the world was too mean for her in a way. Like she just couldn't shake it. She just couldn't take it. And so because she was so immature, she just made that really tragic decision. I'm not perfect. I can say that I've called people names before. I was a teenager. I know how it is. I've spread rumors. You know what I mean? I'm not perfect. But since this has happened to Maggie, I can honestly say, since in the last almost 4 years, she'll be gone 4 years this May, and that's really unbelievable to me. But since this has happened, I even treat people differently because I realize, adults are no different than kids. They're going through bad things. They're going through sadnesses in their life and tragedies and the stresses of everyday life. You really need to think about being kind. And that sounds so, being kind, but it's so big. Be compassionate, don't bring someone down, lift them up, encourage them. If you see they're struggling, say something helpful to help them get through it, whether you're a teenager or an adult. You just need to try to make a difference in people's lives, which may help prevent another suicide. You never know. You never know what that kid's thinking after you talk about them that day, and they may go home that night and replay those words 1,000 times in their head. You don't know. So you should just always, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, which is what our moms and our grandparents tell us, right? You know what I mean? It's true, though. You might not be the victim of bullying or gossip or rumors. You might not be a victim of that, but you may witness someone else being a victim. So stand up for that person. Make a difference in their life, and you never know. That could turn their thoughts around. Like, you know what? Maybe I can get through this. I don't know if my words will help anybody, but I hope they do. I know Maggie's in heaven right now. I think smiling down on us for even bringing this up, because it's a hard subject to talk about. Nobody wants to talk about it. I just hope it helps, and I do believe it's both a chemical imbalance, a medical issue with the brain, but at the same time, I think that it's also outside influences. Maggie was probably a victim of both, but we love her and we miss her dearly, and I know without a doubt I will see her and be with her again, because I'll be in heaven one day when I die. I know that's where she is, so I'll be with her again. And that brings me peace and joy, and I can get through every day. And God just blesses me with that peace and that joy, and it helps me cope with this terrible world that we live in. It's a sad place, but maybe we can make a difference.
Can't change, even if I tried, even if I wanted to.